Hey, before I get started here, I want to remind you and again extend an invitation for you to join me and Brittany Page on election night, November 5th, Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. We're going to begin the stream covering the results of the election. We will go for hours. It's going to be a good time. We're going to have some special guests. We got a lot of things in store, some video clips. We're going to be talking to the audience. It's going to be great. It's not going to be stuffy, as I would assume you would assume with my involvement that it's not going to be like what you're going to be watching on CNN. So anyway, we put a lot of effort into this. I think you will enjoy it, and I invite you. You can go to the website below, that's linked below, and click remind, I think, and YouTube will just remind you that, hey, you wanted to watch this. So we look forward to seeing you. In investing, you often hear the phrase that past performance is not indicative of future results. And that's probably a good rule of thumb relative to investing money, but not necessarily as far as gauging what behaviors and criminality Donald Trump will conduct, will participate in. That past performance is, for Donald Trump, indicative of future results. We've witnessed him attempt to overthrow the United States government, a failed coup attempt on January 6, 2021. And that entire effort wasn't just to protest that Donald Trump had lost the election. The entire mechanism of that was to delay the vote, delay the certification of the 2020 election to give Trump states and Trump legislatures all across the country enough time to get a new Trump slate of electors, fake electors submitted. So then they could take it to the courts and battle it out with Donald Trump's Republican judiciary. And it seems as though there are dirty tricks in the works relative to this. Again, past performance, future results. He said something the other day. The crux of this, I'm going to play a clip of Dan Goldman, lawyer, a brilliant mind for politics. You've witnessed him in the pre-impeachment hearings or the hearings relative to getting Donald Trump officially impeached. I believe the first time, not the second time. But he was on CNN and he laid out some of his concerns over a comment that Donald Trump made at the Nazi rally, the MAGA rally, the dark MAGA rally in Madison Square Garden in New York City over the weekend. Before I get to that, though, I want to remind you, if you didn't see it or you haven't heard, or just to refresh your memory, about what Donald Trump said about his little secret he has with Speaker of the House Mike Johnson that they're not going to reveal until after the election. 12 seconds. Watch this.
And I think with our little secret, we're going to do really well with the House, right? Our little secret is having a big impact. He and I have a secret. We'll tell you what it is when the race is over.
The two elements of this really do lead me to believe that he's talking about a contingent election. I'm going to read a couple paragraphs from the New York Times, but before I do, let's cover what he said there. I think with our little secret, we're going to do really well with the House. We're going to do really well in the House. Our secret is having a big impact. He and I have a little secret. We will tell you what it is when the race is over. A lot of people have looked at this, legal scholars, political scholars, people who have been around. You don't have to have been raised understanding fully the 1800 election or the 1824 election, which both, I believe those are the years. I could be wrong off the top of my head here. No script, just we're rolling extemporaneous here, folks. And in those elections, no party within the election, no candidate got 270 electoral. They didn't get the majority of the electoral votes, so it went to the House, and because of our idiotic system under the Constitution, this particular element, actually Thomas Jefferson has criticized, saying that this is so ridiculous that one day we're going to have a pope and an anti-pope appointed to be president and vice president because of the way that it works. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So let me explain what a contingent election is. You need 270 electoral votes. If you don't get it, it goes to the House, and then the House of Representatives picks the President of the United States, except it's not 435 votes. It's each state delegation gets a vote. And the way that it's laid out right now, you need 26 votes. For instance, Idaho, they get the same number of votes than California, even though there's only 4 electoral votes in Idaho and 64 or 66 in California. The state delegation, they get the vote. So California gets a vote, Idaho gets a vote. And the way that it's laid out right now relative to majorities, there's more Republican states, not population, not democracy. There's more Republican states than there are Democrat states. So Donald Trump would be named the president. Now, the caveat comes in that on January 3rd, the new House is sworn in. So if we secure a House majority, a lot of this is moot, and they're going to have to do their nonsense with just the courts. But let me read from the New York Times and what their take on this particular statement was. Here's the headline. Trump hints at a little secret with House Republicans, setting off a panic. The former president seemed to delight in fueling speculation about what he is cooking up with House Republicans, prompting Democrats to worry about election fraud. Speaker Mike Johnson refused to explain. And that's why I want to read the portion of this is what Mike Johnson's reaction was, what his explanation was of this. It's a scenario in which Mr. Johnson, who worked with Mr. Trump to undermine the 2020 election results, would again be in cahoots. I don't know why journalists insist on using cute language and not describing it as what it is, which is a conspiracy, a scheme against the country, a scheme against democracy. It's cahoots. How cute. How non-threatening. Cahoots. Would again be in cahoots with the former president to steal the election and stop the certification of the results on January 6, 2025, should Vice President Kamala Harris win. In a statement provided to the New York Times, the mild-mannered Johnson, they're really doing their best job to try to paint these people as anything other than the dangers that they are. The mild-mannered Johnson did nothing to alleviate those fears. Instead, he seemed to confirm that there was, in fact, a quote-unquote little secret, and that he planned to keep it that way. Speaking of secrets, Mr. Johnson said, Harris knew Biden was physically and mentally impaired and kept it a secret. The FBI knew that Hunter Biden's laptop was real and kept it a secret. They also knew Russian collusion was fake and kept that a secret too. Mr. Johnson added, it appears that all those secrets didn't matter to the media because they all helped Democrats. But this one might help Donald Trump, and now they care, says the mild-mannered Johnson. By definition, a secret is not one to be shared. I don't intend to share this one. Mr. Johnson's blustery statement was striking not just for its groundless claims presented as facts, it also seemed to validate that Mr. Trump was actually referring to something specific and not just speaking with his regular vagueness that allows listeners to hear whatever they want. So, here's Dan Goldman, Congressman from California. Maybe he's from New York. I think he's from New York. Again, extemporaneous. Here he is talking on CNN about what his theory about this is.
Donald Trump hinted yesterday in his speech that he has some secret with Speaker Mike Johnson. Now, you wonder, why did Donald Trump come to New York 9 days before the election? This state is going to go to Kamala Harris. And the answer is that the House really runs through New York. There are 7 races that could go either way in the House, and that will likely determine the majority. And make no mistake, the House, we get sworn in on January 3rd. On January 6th, the certification of the Electoral College will happen again, and as we know from 2021. Whoever is in control of the House, of Congress, will be able to have a lot of say on what happens on January 6th. And I suspect, we don't know, but I suspect Donald Trump's little secret plan with Mike Johnson is a backup plan for when he loses and he tries to go to the House of Representatives to throw out the Electoral College, the certification from the states, and have the House of Representatives under the leadership and the control and the gavel for Mike Johnson and try to overturn this election.
I'm with him. Now, the good news for this is to set aside or to try to alleviate some of your stress, anxiety that you may be feeling about this election, is it looks like we're going to retain the House, maybe even grow our majority there. Not looking so good for the Senate unless something dramatic happens. That's just the way the map is laying out. So the Senate has less control over this. The other thing that you need to not worry about so much is the Vice President of the United States of America is in the ceremonial role of certifying the election, not the Speaker of the House. So even if the House were to go the other way and Republicans were to maintain control, Mike Johnson wouldn't have a role. So I would invite your participation in this conversation, whether it be about the 12th Amendment or the 20th Amendment, contingent elections, what Dan Goldman, I almost called him Dan Johnson, what Dan Goldman said. You can leave a comment below. You can also leave me a voicemail, 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. Do not forget the live stream on election evening. We're going to be starting at 6:30 p.m. once again. Myself, the lovely, talented, and scholarly Brittany Page. We're going to have some guest hosts. We're going to have, it's going to be a good time. It's not just going to be election coverage. We're gonna have some fun bits. It's going to be different, and I hope very successful. I think you'll have a good time too. Follow me on social media. Love to see you there. I'm at Dollemore, and I will see you next time. Till then, be genuine. Take care of one another.